message for people who are currently experiencing homelessness is don't ever quit. Don't ever quit. Don't ever quit. Hi, I'm Kelvin Lassiter, Income Policy Analyst with the National Coalition for the Homeless.
Tell me about the moment in your life when you became homeless.
Homelessness is a community. I really learned that once we became homeless. You gotta remember back in 1982, homelessness wasn't as visible as it is now. It was more hidden, especially in the rural areas. But in the area, growing up in Prince George's County, which is right outside of Washington, D.C., you just didn't see homelessness. It definitely shaped my view that in order to exit homelessness, it's going to take a community, whether that's homeless advocates.
I say to you today that people are not homeless because of immorality. They're not homeless because they want to be. They're homeless because we live in a country that does not care.
People who are homeless on the streets.
Sleeping out here during the nighttime, people get killed.
Family members who care about you, or total strangers who just care about humanity. And in some cases, that came into play when the rental complex took a chance on my mother and rented her apartment. And she actually stayed there for 4 years until she passed away. My message for people who are currently experiencing homelessness is don't ever quit. You have to see yourself where you want to be before you get there. So when I was homeless, I knew that it was only a temporary situation. Now, I didn't know how long temporary was going to be. I didn't know it was going to be an off and on 3.5-year battle. Some of that was due to my own fault, but some of it wasn't, such as the lack of affordable wage, and which we're still struggling with today. And in my case, the minimum wage just wasn't enough to pay for a one-bedroom apartment, fair market value. So don't quit. And number two, find out where the services are. And don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, no one gets to where they want to be in this world by themselves. There is no such thing as pull your own self up by your bootstraps. You're going to hear that all the time, but that everybody has had help at some point in their life, whether they're breathing or not breathing anymore. They have had help. Don't be fooled.
How did you end up here at NCH?
You know, it's ironic. There was a gentleman by the name of Steve Thomas who was the public education coordinator at the time. And we became friends in another organization. And he mentioned to me, he said, hey man, I think you would really do well in this organization I'm a part of. Can you come to the office and meet the executive director for an interview? I said, sure. And we hit it off immediately. And it just kind of took off from there. And I find myself loving the work because I knew what it was like to be homeless. And I still had a passion to help those who I left behind. Ironically, there are still people on the street today that I was homeless with over 20 years ago. And that's what keeps me motivated and keeps me going. Your life is not about you. It's about who you can help get what they want, and on the back end, you get what you want. What keeps me going on and why I want to stay here is that the National Coalition for the Homeless comes up with unique perspectives that are different from all the other organizations because we have spent time on the streets. So we know what works and what doesn't work. And we also, last but not least, listen to the advocates. We listen to the people who are still there. And who else better to solve the problems of homelessness than people who are still living it, people who are still experiencing it. people who at some point when their lives turn around, they want to go back and help other people who are still there. And change legislation. Because homelessness is not usually the fault of people who are homeless. It's usually because of what's called structural racism or structural legislation that is geared to not solving a problem. It's geared toward keeping people in the situation they want to get out of.